name is Chelsea El-Azzi. I'm an associate attorney at the Harold Hathaway PC. Yes, so I'm here to walk you guys through the beneficial owner reporting requirement according to the Corporate Transparency Act, the CTA. And this is overseen by FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Information Network. I've done a few of these beneficial ownership reports for a few clients, BOIR for short, beneficial owner information report. So I'm familiar with the process of how to do this online, and so I'm going to walk you through it. So basically, if you think you have an entity that may qualify, this video could be for you. So a bit of background first. The Corporate Transparency Act, the CTA, requires qualifying companies, and I'll go into what a qualifying company is in a second, requires qualifying companies to file a beneficial owner information report, a BOIR, with the Financial Crimes Information Network, FinCEN for short, within a certain time frame, depending on when your company was formed. There has been recent litigation challenging the constitutionality of this. We're not certain how that litigation is going to turn out. But in the meantime, we recommend that if you have no good reason not to do this, to go ahead and comply with the reporting requirement. So reporting companies, there's a whole list online of who is required to report. Basically, if your entity filed a certificate of formation with the Secretary of State of whatever your state is, in order to come into existence, then it at least puts it in that category of a business that needs to report. And then there's all of the exempt entities. So entities that are exempt are things like banks, publicly traded corporations, large publicly traded corporations, trusts. So in our firm, companies, our clients who do have businesses that fall into the reporting category are limited liability companies, corporations that are not publicly traded, and limited partnerships. The clients that we work with whose entities are exempt, those exempt entities are going to be nonprofit corporations, trusts, sole proprietorships, and inactive entities. One of the things when you go to file the information report is you need an EIN or some kind of tax ID number, employer identification number, an EIN. If you don't have an EIN, like this entity isn't doing business, like maybe you filed a certificate of formation and just kind of sitting there waiting for you to do something, I don't think this reporting requirement is really necessary until it's actually doing something and generating, business and money is, transacting with money. When you need to report. So if your entity was created and registered to do business before 2024, anytime in 2023 or before that, then the report needs to be filed before January 1st, 2025. If your entity was created and registered to do business within 2024, then you've got 90 days after you receive notice of the registration of creation of your business. And then after, if your entity was created on or after January 1st, 2025, then you'll have 30 days to submit the report. So you may be thinking, whoa, what if I forget? Or what if I didn't know about it? What if I'm watching this video much later than January 2025? Or I created an entity early in 2024 and I didn't know I needed to submit. What's going to happen? It says I have to do this. What's going to happen? So according to the language of the CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act, a person who willfully violates the BOIR reporting requirement may be subject to civil penalties of up to $500 a day that the violation continues. We have not become aware of anyone that we work with having received any kind of notice or being, fined with a penalty for not reporting in time. This is a new requirement, and I imagine it's going to take the FinCEN a while to catch up with the information that it's receiving and to figure out who needs to report, who hasn't reported. just because it's going to take the government some time to catch up and reach out doesn't mean you shouldn't comply. We recommend going ahead and doing it anyway if there's no reason not to. So the reason that the CTA came up with this requirement is basically it's the government's effort to curb fraud and money laundering and shell entities that are squirreling, money away out of the United States without paying proper taxes on it. And it's also to aid government agencies in tracking down bad actors who may have stolen money and put it into an LLC and said, well, it's not in my hands, it's in the hands of this LLC, which technically you own and control. So yeah, there's that. Who can file the report? Basically, anybody with the authority and knowledge to do so. I'll walk you through, I call it a reporting agent. There's a name on I forget what it is, but when I get to that page, I'll show you. If you're going to be doing a lot of these, if you're going to be filing a lot of these reports, I would recommend getting a FinCEN number. Because when you get to that page, it's going to ask you for your name, your driver's license, your birth date, and it's going to ask you to upload a picture of your driver's license or your passport if that's what you're using for your identifying document. And you'll have to do that every single time for each report you file. So if you plan to be doing a lot of these, either you're doing it for other companies or you have a lot of companies, it might be good to just go ahead and get a FinCEN number for yourself. That way you can just put in the FinCEN number. And you can potentially do this for companies that you're entering BOIR for. And I'll walk you through that when we get there. Let's see if I answered all my initial questions. Who is it? Oh, who is a beneficial owner? So beneficial owner is defined as either one of two things. The person who exercises control over a company or who owns and controls at least 25% of the company's interests. Beneficial owners do need to be individuals, that can be identified with a driver's license or a passport. Someone who exercises control over a company might be, the majority shareholder of a corporation, or the general partner, limited partnership. Or if you've got a limited partnership, there's going to be at least two, the general partner who can actually make the decisions and do all the transactions. And then the limited partner who may be the majority owner of all of the interests of the entity. Okay, let's go ahead and jump on to how to file. So let me see here if I can share my screen. Okay. So here we have the main website for the FinCEN BOIR online. Make sure you go to this one that's got the Financial Crimes Information Network. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. This will let me. There you go. I can make it a little bit bigger for you guys to see. It's going to be boiefiling.fincen.gov file BOR /file BOIR /. It gives you two options. You can file a PDF, meaning if you have the most advanced PDF Adobe Reader, it'll populate a form that you can download and print and hand fill out, although that's cumbersome and I would not recommend it that way. What I have done and what I have found fairly easy is to just file online. So we click prepare and submit BOIR report. Warning, you're entering the government information system. Okay, that's fine. I agree that this is monitored and I'm not going to do anything wrong on this, so I agree. When you come to this first page, excuse me, I need some water. When you come to this first page, if you're doing this for the first time, this is going to be an initial report. One thing to note is this needs to be done one time for all entities, and then you're done. This is not an annual requirement. This is just a one-time thing. The only time you're going to need to do this again is if ownership changes. There was an assignment, a transfer, a purchase, where some kind of ownership and beneficial owners change. So in that case, if you're changing ownership for some entity who's already reported, you're going to select update prior report. But for the most part, I think most of these are going to be initial filing reports. Correcting prior report is if you've entered a report and then you learn, oops, I entered the information of a wrong beneficial, like, I don't know, I entered something incorrectly. I need to fix it. Then you're going to go in and correct prior report. And it'll populate all the same stuff and you'll just enter it in again, but correctly the second time around. So initial report. And up at the top here, it has these blue, these tabs. It'll show you, what page you're on. There's only 5 pages. So this first one is just type of filing. This report, date prepared is the date you're doing this, auto fills it in. Click next. Okay, we're going to click here to request to receive FinCEN ID. If you have a parent company that 100% owns a bunch of subsidiaries, doing the parent company first and selecting request to receive FinCEN ID should save you some time and when filing the reports for all of the subsidiaries. That way, rather than having to do all the beneficial owners that are at the ultimate end of the line for all the subsidiary companies, you can just put in the FinCEN ID for the parent company, and that parent company, is the information of the beneficial owners and the parent company is already there attached to that FinCEN number. One of the issues I have found, though, is I've selected this this option when I filed for some parent companies, and then at the end, it did not give me a FinCEN ID, which was annoying because then I had to go in and I had to do, fill out all the beneficial owner requirements that were at the end of the line over and over and over. Not fun. Don't know why it sometimes populates a FinCEN ID and why it doesn't. Maybe a glitch. Who knows? They're still working out the kinks in this filing system, I imagine. But anyway, go ahead and check this box. You'll put in the reporting company name, NewCo LLC. Any trade names or DBAs. Tax identification. We'll have an EIN of some kind. Number 569. Go down here. It's a United States entity. We're going to make it a Texas entity. You put in the address. So, you type right. Okay. United States, we're in Texas. Okay. Click next. All right, company applicant. Who the heck is a company applicant? That would be the person submitting this application on behalf of the entity. So that's me in the cases I'm doing it. This is what I was talking about. If you're going to be doing a lot of these, it's helpful to just go ahead and get a FinCEN ID. How do you get a FinCEN ID? And FinCEN ID. Let's see, where does it go? We want to do the FinCEN, so FinCEN ID. It's going to take you to something like this. What you're going to do is follow the prompts. You're going to have to make a login.gov. If you've never done this before, just follow prompts to create an account. Type in your email address, and what you'll have to do is log in. There'll be an authenticator app you'll need to get on your phone or another device that's going to make sure that it's you. And yeah, I've had to do this a number of times for different things for my job. And so I'm not going to walk you through how to get a FinCEN number. There are plenty of videos and guides on how to get a FinCEN number. But like I said, if you're going to be doing a lot of these, you want to put in your FinCEN number. It's a 12-digit number. Not going to do it here on the screen. I'm just going to go ahead and put in all zeros. Oh, well, I do want to show you what if you don't have a FinCEN number, what you're going to have to do. So you will every single time have to type in your name, your last name, your date of birth, your address, type of document that's identifying you, either a driver's license or a passport. You have to put in the document number, and then you'll have to upload an image, either a PDF or a JPEG, of your driver's license or passport. But because I have a FinCEN number, I already did that. It requires you to do that to apply for your FinCEN number. Got my FinCEN number, done that already. Information's in the system, so I'm just going to put in my number and click next. Notice that every time I click next, it moves me on to another tab. Okay, so I am not a parent or guardian. We have a child. If you have a FinCEN number for the beneficial owner, either the person has a FinCEN ID, they've gone ahead and done this. Maybe it would be helpful if you own a lot of companies, go ahead and just get a FinCEN ID. That way you can just type in your FinCEN ID rather than having to fill this out every single time. But for every beneficial owner, you're going to need to put in the first name, their last name, their date of birth, their address, the country, the state, city. Then you're going to have to select, are they using are you identifying them via driver's license or passport? And if it's a foreign owner, you can select foreign passport, and it'll, ask you for the, country that they're from. And then what you're going to have to do here is, again, upload the image of the driver's license or passport. What if there's more than one beneficial owner? I mean, if it's a sole member LLC, this is pretty straightforward. But let's say you have more than one beneficial owner. It says beneficial owner number 1. We're going to add beneficial owner. Now here's the information for beneficial owner number 2. Sometimes a trust is a beneficial owner. Trusts are exempt entities. Like let's say you have a family limited partnership and the trust is the majority owner for that limited partnership. You put in the general partner's information, who's the one actually like signing off on the documents, and then the trust. But you don't want to put in like the trustee's name of beneficiaries. You can just say exempt entity and XYZ irrevocable trust. And there's that beneficial owner's information. We've got 2. Okay. So at the end, it's going to ask you to put in your email. This is going to send you confirmation that the report was submitted. So you'll put in your email and you put in your first and last name. I'm not going to do that right now. When you click the I agree, it's going to say, hey, you forgot some information, or if you forgot information. If nothing pops up, then you did everything correctly and you attached and filled out everything out. But I didn't, because this is an example. But yeah, before you certify, whoa, you need the name of the beneficial owner, the last name, date of birth, address, city, country, state, zip code, the identifying document number, and then the image. You have to upload it. Remember, you have to upload an image. And then the submission is my name and information, which I'm not going to put on this video. You'll click I agree, and then click the box, and it's going to walk you through the whole I am not a robot puzzle thingy. Click on the bird, click on all the images of the motorcycle, that kind of thing. And then you'll hit submit. You'll hit next, submit. This is important. At the end, you'll, because I'm not submitting it, you can't see the picture of it. But let me stop sharing. So at the end, when you hit submit, it's going to take you to a page. It's going to have a little, upload button saying, okay, we're processing the information. This is 100% good. And then it's going to have a big button to click on saying, don't forget to download. You do want to click on that. You want to click on that because that's your report, your submission report for the entity that you just did the report for. The thing with that report is it's very, very important to click on it right then and there, to save it and save it under a file name for that entity that report is for. that tracking page, that submission page, will not have the entity name on it. It won't have the EIN on it. It's not going to have anything except the BOIR report number and the tracking number. So unless you save it and name it right then and there of the entity that that tracking number and number BOIR report number is for, you're not going to have any way of knowing that that tracking number goes with that entity. So yeah, it's very important to remember to click and save and name it appropriately for the entity that you just did it for. What's going to happen is later that day or the next day, if the transmission was successful, you'll get an email with that same report, with the same information, the BOIR number and the tracking number. But again, it won't have the entity name or the EIN or any other kind of identifying information to connect the tracking number with the entity you filed for. I hate that because I did a lot of these for some companies and for some clients, and you just have to be very, very good about saving and making sure that you've saved it under the right entity. But it is what it is. I'm assuming that this system, this online e-reporting system, will change over time. They'll figure out how to, yeah, maybe update it to where at least that tracking number has the entity name you just entered it for. We're assuming that all of this information is getting compiled in some big database that FinCEN will have access to, and that at some point they'll be doing something with it. It remains to be seen. I guess if you have any issues with it, you'll pick your battle and figure out. But we see no reason why, if you report your income, on a 1099, K1s may be issued from the LLC or the partnership to you. So your tax information is connected to these businesses. If you're a beneficial owner, the Treasury Department already has your information. No reason why you shouldn't just go ahead and comply with the CTA requirements to do the beneficial owner reporting. But I guess if you have any questions or get stuck, there are tons of videos, tons of guides online, and FinCEN has a information about reporting requirements and how to fill it out, and who's a beneficial owner and who's exempt. So there's a lot of information online. Just if you're interested, think this might relate to you or your business, go ahead and look it up, and recommend going ahead and filing your BOIR. Thanks.